Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Exponential Podcast. And on this episode is a special one. I think from a few months ago when the Champions League calendar was pulled out, we penciled this day for hey I would say an historical moment between these two clubs. And in this particular podcast where it's made up of two Chelsea fans and one Barcelona fan. And this week we had the Chelsea Barcelona game, and we're here to give our match takeaways from this specific match. And as always, I've got um, my good friend, our Spanish correspondent, and above all else, a Barcelona fan. So, Kingsley, thank you for joining me and making some time to talk about this. I know it could be a bit difficult for you I expect you to be honest with your opinions and passionate about your football club. So, Chelsea Barcelona, how are you feeling a day after the game?
First of all, it's always good to be back on the show, and also to our viewers. It's really exciting to be on the show. Not as exciting watching the game, obviously, but it's good to be here. So, while we're at it, let's get cracking. How do I feel about the game? It's a game that had all the
First,
hype, the proper build.
first,
Hmm.
let's set the table. So
Hmm.
Chelsea Barcelona played out an exciting game yesterday. Chelsea came out winners by 3 goals to nil. And yeah, you can go now.
All right, perfect. Thanks again for rubbing it in. Yeah, so it was a very good victory at the Stamford Bridge, obviously. And first thing first, congratulations to all Chelsea Football Club supporters around the world. I think it's a moment to be proud of your club. It's a moment to be proud of your players. And of obviously, it's a very good victory for you guys to really assess and see where you are as a football club with your project, with the new players and all of that. But that being said, we get that out of the way. It's not the most significant match of the season. It's not it's not it's not all hell loose for Barca fans, but there is a lot of takeaways that need to happen there. It's an exciting game. It was an exciting game. I think especially in the first half, it was a lot more balanced, with free-flowing attacking football from both sides of the divide. Ultimately, Chelsea got the advantage, and in all fairness, Chelsea had um, a slight momentum build going on from there, and the first half was in their favor with respect to the own goal from Kunde, and that set the table for what again is a bitter night for a lot of coolers. It's a bitter night for the Catalan club. It's a bitter night for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Chelsea defeat Barca 3-0 at any level.
This is
Um,
the biggest score. This is by Chelsea won this game by the biggest scoreline in this they've had in this specific tie. And again, because again, I think in Champions League this tie is a quite historical tie between these two clubs. It's very for two clubs that it's not like a derby, or it's not like a Madrid, Barcelona, or two giants from the same country. But there's something special when Barcelona always play against Chelsea, and it always makes for a good game. And like you said, I agree with you. I think I thought yesterday was a fantastic football game. Despite I know Chelsea won, so obviously it changes things. But I think even before Chelsea took the lead, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what top flight football should be like. The pace, the intensity. So the players on show was all magnificent. So I think I'll talk you through the game. So let's start off with Barcelona's lineup. Were there any doubts, or were there any questionable decisions in that starting level you had before kickoff?
yeah, yeah, I don't get to say this a lot, but this is one of the occasions where Hansi Flick didn't get his starting lineup
I
correct.
agree. Yeah, I agree on that.
Um, Ferran Torres could have played anywhere else, but not in place of Rashford, right? If you ask me, I would have preferred Ferran Torres to start as a proper nine, and Levy would come in second half, while Rashford would play on the flank.
Yeah.
Um, and then just again because you want to you want to go on a high press at the start of the game. You want to also have that element of surprise. and you also want to give Chelsea backline something to think about when Lewandowski would be pulling off the bench. But that didn't happen, and our questionable decision. And if I were Casado, McBurnell, and co, I'll be asking myself, how is
Yeah.
Eric Garcia starting in a pivot ahead of me with Frankie de Jong? Uh,
and and just because again, I'll just to even touch on that. It's not even not the fact that because again, this is back-to-back games that Garcia has started in midfield, and again, I think Eric Garcia has been one of Barcelona's better players this season. But
yeah,
if I'm a Casado or Bernal, I'm seeing this is two straight games now where he starts in midfield ahead of them. And more worrying is the fact that even in the second half, after the whole event has unfolded, Barca down to 10 men, he brings on Christensen off the bench to go into midfield.
yes.
That's
So
yeah, but I think
yeah,
we'll talk about that at the back end. Yeah,
yeah, so absolutely. So that starting 11, those were two of my major questions, and then the biggest of them all literally was Arroyo. When I saw
okay,
Arroyo
but
starting,
isn't but okay, I'll come in again. But I think because I know we like to our listeners, like me and my friend here, we talk a lot about football a lot,
yeah,
and he's of the opinion that Arroyo. I think you have the opinion that Arroyo is one of Barca's best defenders, or starts in Barcelona's best team.
well, it depends on who Barcelona is playing. Like, unfortunately for Arroyo, he has not progressed to become an automatic starter. He has progressed to be a player that you apply depending on who your opponent is,
Okay.
depending on the tactics you want to play, depending even on the location of the game. For
Yeah.
example, if that game was happening in Camp Nou or in whatever Barca's home stadium has been for the last couple of months, um, it could have still been a decision that you can overlook. But away from home, high intensity game, high pressure game. I don't know if it's a rush of blood to his brain. Arroyo has consistently showed us that we shouldn't
Yeah.
rely on him at this level. And even though I've backed him for the longest, I think I'm one of those Barca's
You're a
fans
big,
that have
you're a
been
big,
back.
yeah, you're a big Arroyo fan. I think to
Yeah,
be fair, I think most Barca fans, particularly after last this Champions League semi-final against Inter, most a lot of Barca fans just were done with him as a leading figure in Barca team. But to your credit, well, I don't know if it's your credit, but you still believed in him despite um, current events and otherwise. Well, if what who would you have liked to see partner Kubasin and centre back if it wasn't Arroyo, or if you didn't prefer Arroyo?
at least Eric Garcia wouldn't be making such mistakes to start with. Starter pack. Eric Garcia wouldn't make
Okay,
such
okay,
mistake.
okay.
Chelsea, the reasons why I sometimes wouldn't want Eric Garcia to always play centre back is because if you're playing against muscular strikers, big strikers, he appears a bit smaller and a bit softer to bully through. But those were not the threats Barca would face against that
Yeah,
Chelsea side. So Eric Garcia's interpretation of the game, really not the game. I don't even think I've seen a game where Eric Garcia was sent out. Uh,
yeah, and yeah, that's true. And this brings me. That's a good point you made about Arroyo and going up against a physical or a typical box number 9 that you expected Chelsea to go with, and that leads to the Chelsea lineup. I think the big surprise from that Chelsea lineup was Neto as the number 9, or the I'll say number. I won't say false number. I'll say Neto as the number 9, or Neto through the middle. I think that caught a lot of people by surprise. And after the team sheet was, because I expected everything else. I predicted 10 out of the starting 11, but I thought Joao Pedro was going to start. But with Neto starting, I liked it. And what I like in that position in particular, I thought what Neto brought to that team and what the other guys like Joao Pedro's, the Dilap lack is intensity. I think Pedro Neto played with a lot of intensity yesterday. I think I know he didn't get a goal, or I don't think he got an assist, but I thought he was on and off the board. He was fantastic for over 80 minutes. He had a really,
yeah,
really good game. And as I said, like the game, I think the game started off very quick. Like it was a very, very chaotic game in the early stages of the game. Both sides trying to feel each other out, trying to find openings, and Barcelona did find an opening in the first 5 minutes of the game, and that was the Ferran Torres' miss early on. How are you feeling after that miss?
I'm
Because
not
as
surprised.
because as a Chelsea fan, I could not believe he missed it. Like
As As a Barca fan, honestly, even when I see Ferran Torres beaming down the goal
Yeah,
with nobody there, I don't celebrate until I see the net shake. It's just Ferran Torres. I've said it enough. I've said it one too many times. I appreciate his goal production. I appreciate, like, if you always check Ferran Torres' numbers, I think even before Hansi Flick came through, his numbers are never bad, right? It's just not dependable.
yeah,
This is not a striker that you bank on for meaningful competition. You and I once had a chat, and I'm like, even in the absence of a core nine in the Spanish national team, for example, as a Barca fan, I'm not even saying Spain should make Ferran Torres their unreliable or their undisputed number nine because of this situation. There's that you get to the ball. The good thing about Ferran Torres is just it reminds me of lateral Martinez at his upcoming days. It reminds me of Morata. They would always be in those places. They
yeah.
always find that
They always get those
movement.
chances.
It's just what do they do after that? Because he was very intelligent up until the finishing. He was
Yeah,
very intelligent, understanding where that space is going to come through,
yeah.
and even the pass from Yamal was beautiful. But like you had over
The game,
10,
the goal was
10
gaping.
meters on the side. It
The
was it was
the
just
goal
there.
like because you see it like you see Sanchez goes early to the other side of the goal, and he
Go.
has a massive goal to find, and it just like it's not because again sometimes there's some finishes that just goes by the post, narrowly goes by the post, but he puts it well wide from that studio. And I think that's at this level, because again, this kind of games, you get one of those, you get one big chance, you need to take it. You need to take those chances and make it count. And I felt after that chance, Barca just snowballed into catastrophe from then on.
Eh, No, even after that chance, there was another chance to break away. Chelsea had committed a lot of players forward. Ferran Torres just had the ball to him to make it. I don't know what he was processing. I don't know what he was dilly-dallying on until Caicedo literally
Oh yeah.
jogged. Caicedo was not
Well,
even at foot pace. He literally
welcome.
jogged onto the
No,
back
no,
and
no,
and,
no,
and, and,
no.
and took took the ball away. That is that was
But
that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
that's
That was
That's the Caicedo
unbelievable.
experience. That's like Ferran Torres won't be the first player to get caught out by Caicedo that way. And I think that was Caicedo's introduction into the game. Like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to assert myself. Like when you don't expect me, I'll be there. Just know I'll be there. And I think Caicedo had a fantastic game. Then we'll move on to Chelsea scored a couple goals. Enzo Fernandez particularly scored a couple goals that were disallowed. The first one was a handball in the build up to the goal by Fofana, which rightly so. I agree that was what it was. The second one from a free kick that he headed on at the far post, another offside call as well. Then Chelsea get the lead from a set piece, and another and just it was by this. And again, in football sometimes it's always the margins in football sometimes are very there are some that are literally this big, the
Yeah.
margins in football, because this was the length at which Cucurella was onside by just this much. And I think it was brilliant play from Chelsea in that build up. And but I think overall, I think Barca will be a bit Barca fans should feel a bit disappointed with the overall defending in that situation. Like, you should not be caught out like that at this level.
Well, I did feel disappointed.
Yeah,
And to be fair, I probably don't say this enough. Even in a game where we got beat 3-0, I think the referee did a
comfortably.
good
Yeah,
job. The
yeah,
referee did
yeah,
a good
well,
job.
yeah,
I know there were difficult moments in the games. I know there were games that there were times when the interpretation could have been different, but I wouldn't
yeah,
look at
yeah,
that game and say this referee didn't do a
yeah,
good job. And that is a whole total different experience when we're talking about La Liga referees. But now let's even talk about that first goal. If I were looking at it as Hansi Flick and the rest of his boardroom staff, um,
yeah,
how do I improve from that situation? Because this was very similar to how Liverpool got Barca out of the way in 2019. Very similar
yeah,
concept,
yeah, yeah,
right? So it's not just this sample size of Hansi Flick current Barca defending, but when you're playing the high line, when you're playing
yeah,
playing this press up. you need to always look out for the rest of your um defensive line, because the person who had kept Cucurella offside was literally six players before Cucurella on
Yeah,
that
that
line.
was, I think was it Kunde on the far side of the pitch,
I don't think
about
it was
one of
Kunde. I
the
think it was Kubasi. I think it was
yeah,
Kubasi.
Kubasi.
But yeah, but I don't.
and
Yeah.
and 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 I've also noticed a trend with, because again, when you play the way Barca play, or when you just specifically play a high line with an offside trap, what is always important most times is your body shape. It's how you try and get your body in a way that's leaning forward, so you don't get,
Hmm.
because again, like if your foot is like you said, it was the foot. If your foot is behind you, it can then keep the player onside on the other side. So it's a very, I think there's an art to it, there's a skill to it, but there's also the tactical side of where this, I don't think, and it's my issue with Barca, I don't think these players necessarily know how to defend, not just even in the highline, but just how to defend, because that's just basics. If you push up, you don't leave your arm behind you. Like you make sure, like again, it's almost the same thing where if a winger or striker is crossing the ball, you put your arms in like this.
Hmm.
So, because okay, if it hits anywhere here, that's fine. But if you don't go like this,
Yeah.
because if it hits that, that's trouble. So but I think it was a well worked goal. Chelsea won it up, and the probably the deciding factor of the game. But I think after that, Chelsea were in control of the game. I think Barca could not keep up with Chelsea's intensity and passes, and the rotations they had were all fantastic. Then there was the red card by Arroyo. I
I
think
think I need
I
to take
think
a deep breath before I unleash
yeah,
the venom.
just why I take your bet. I think it's safe to say this probably spells the end of Arroyo's, or this should spell the end of Arroyo's Barcelona tenure.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this 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 should be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, absolutely. After the World Cup, I hope he has a great World Cup with Uruguay. I hope he's able to convince some other people. Because again, I keep saying it. If you look at Arroyo's individual quality as a footballer, as a centre back, even if you want to play him as a right back, Arroyo has all the qualities that, like, if I were a scout and I'm looking for a centre back, I'm checking. Arroyo is tall, he's athletic, he's aggressive, he's quick, he's this, and then at the end of the day, if I ever look for thinking faculty, I would not tick anything. Arroyo is absolutely not a brilliant footballer. Like, um, I I I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's because this is the
Is
player that even though he's La Masia at the end of the day, but he's
is it
not
though?
is
No, is La Masia is like an adopted La Masia player.
exactly. So
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like he probably didn't start from the cradle, but at the end of the day, like it's just like when you were in high school, you get somebody joining at SS1, SS2. It's probably gonna end up saying I'm an alumni, and there's nothing you
yeah,
can do
yeah.
about it, right?
Exactly.
But he picked maybe other things, but he did not pick the ability to think on the pitch, because half of the decisions half of the predicaments that Barca has gone through when Arroyo has made those stupid decisions were absolutely needless or
A big,
avoidable in big
particularly in
games,
big
like
games. In big
like
games,
like
like
like why lunging on that tackle when you already had the yellow card? Like it's Cucurella
yeah,
beaming down
it's
you. You're not the last man. You're not like it was not even a massive threat. It was still Barca were still in a recoverable
yeah.
position. You're talking about the club that has done the most comeback in the last calendar year. We were still going for the
Well,
game.
they were still
We
in it.
still
Yeah, they
we
were
still
still in
had a
it.
chance. So why do that?
Yeah, I
And the
think
moment it happened, like I don't know which one hurt me more. When that happened, and then I saw that he had the captain armband, and I'm like, it was instant flashback because he does this stupidity when he has that armband on. Special edition.
yeah, there's for me again, like I've been on the camp of like I think if Barca can find a new fool, so to say, in the transfer market, like anybody like club that can come in for big money, 40, 50 million for Arroyo, package him up and just ship him away as quickly as possible. I don't think it's I don't I think there was a time where he showed a lot of promise. Then the injuries started coming, and I think since he's come out from those injuries, he's been nowhere near top level defender. And it's also like it's okay. I can understand. Okay, say you have a rush of blood to the head, you make a mistake. But I think for the way Barca want to play, he's literally the pressing trigger for the opposition team. And like the way Chelsea set up in a way like if the ball goes over to the right hand side, we have Estevao, Gusto was there, and sometimes Rhys James. But if that ball stays with Arroyo there, we'll win that ball there because we'll force him to make a turnover, we'll force him to go long because he just can't play the football Barca needs him to play. And I think that brings the second half, first half to an end. Then the second half comes up. Chelsea make a substitution. I think Costa got a yellow card as well. It was important to take him off because I felt like knowing Barcelona, like the slightest touch or the slightest contact from Gusto on any Barca player, that's the second yellow.
No, but
The,
I want to quickly correct something there. If you
yeah,
notice
yeah, yeah.
with Hansi Flick's Barca, you see those antics, those dives, those touch me at the back and I'm holding my face. It's not in Hansi Flick's team.
I will disagree on two elements. I feel it's not regarding the coach. For me, in my opinion, that is a cultural thing. I think Barcelona perpetuated that culture. Because again, like, and I'll give an example, like you said, Hansi Flick's team. The a few match days ago, I think match day 3, the game against Olympiacos at home, the guy that got sent off, that was Casado, who held his face, rolling on the ground, despite not being touched on the face. So again, I think for me, my opinion, I think that's a cultural thing. Like it's like you say, they teach them how to one touch, the first touch, they're passing, they're controlling the mass, and they also teach them how to. It's like they teach them how to play acts on the football pitch, how to get results. It's Barcelona are notorious for this. Again, it's not saying that only Barca do it, but I think Barcelona are quite notorious for this. Like there were several times where certain players went down holding their faces, just rolling on the ground. It's why I expect from Barcelona. There's nothing new there. Then second half, Chelsea in cruise control in the second half. I think there was in a way Barca were almost in a limitation mode. Just okay, let's try and conserve what we can, stay in the game as long as we can. But I think I was surprised with the changes he made at halftime. Rashford came on for Ferran Torres.
Yeah.
I felt the change should have been Lewandowski. I don't like Lewandowski was not playing well enough in the game at 11v11, particularly when you're not playing with 10 men. His age now. I don't think he can hang at this level
So, and
anymore.
this is where I would defend Hansi Flick every single time, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's true Lewandowski might not be as mobile as he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's certain he's aging finely, in my opinion. This is the player that, despite the game missed, is the second top scorer in La Liga, despite the games he has missed this season. Um, because he knows how to finish, because he knows how to be efficient,
Yeah,
and because in a game like I tell you for free, Lewandowski had Ferran Torres chance, Barca was one goal up in the fifth minute, and
but
and
the
when you
problem,
and when you think about all of those because um it's true people say, oh, Levy didn't have the same impact in the first half. Go and check properly. Levy was very involved in those hold up play, especially at the time Barca was building momentum at the start of the game. Levy was coming all the way to the middle part of the pitch. He was chest controlling ball. He was linking up
yeah,
with the
okay.
wingers and he was making those runs. And the reason is
Uh,
this:
uh,
Ferran do not have the body build to to contain those build up. Hence, Ferran will run in behind Levy and create chances for himself. Even if you check the press, the one leading to the chance that Ferran Torres scuffed away. Levy
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
the
First
guy.
half.
Yes, Levy was the guy occupying those two defenders. Levy was the guy those two defenders were looking to Chaloba and we are looking to cover down for Ferran Torres to run in behind. And the point I'm making is this: Levy's contribution to this Barcelona team goes beyond when the ball is on his feet. He allows for
But
intelligent
he's
movement for the guys for the
in the
guys at the
box.
back
In the
in the box, and also allows for intelligent movement for a Fermin Lopez.
since I've lost Kingsley. Okay, but in a way, I agree with some of the things you're saying. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I can
Yes,
hear
I'm
you. I
here.
think to an extent I agree with some of the things you say, but again, I feel And this is, I know he's obviously older now, but the last time Lewandowski came to Stamford Bridge with Bayern Munich was a few years ago with Hansi Flick. With Bayern Munich, I think he scored 2 goals and 1 assist that day. He was absolutely dangerous on that day, and that was him a few years ago. This version of Lewandowski going up against a centre back like Chalobah. This Chalobah is not your. I think he's he has good moments, but it's not. You won't put him. You won't say he's a top defender, but he has good moments. And I felt Chalobah had the better of Lewandowski from the first minute. From the first minute, I think on across the pitch, whenever the ball went long, defending the channels, when they contested for 50-50s in the area, Chalobah had the best of Lewandowski. And I feel, like you said, I feel if a different player who's more mobile had played number 9, could have probably caused Chelsea more problems because Lewandowski does not have. Because again, if you see a lot of Barcelona's press was ineffective because Lewandowski is there. Lewandowski was the guy leading the press. There were several times where you see Lewandowski, Fermin Torres, Fermin Lopez pointing at each other or pointing at other teammates like, you should be there, you should be there, you should be there, because they were always slow to the press. And I feel the press starts from the guy. The guy who leads the press is obviously the number 9. Well, you know what? I think it is what it is. So let's go to the moment, for me, the moment of the game. The second goal by our Brazilian wonder kid. The Rivaldo's chosen son, Ronaldinho's heir, basically. But I think the new Brazilian hope is bringing Joga Bonito back, Estevao. I think from a Barca perspective, when Santos won that ball, played Estevao in, he's dribbling into the box. How are you feeling? How did you? Are you a bit disappointed with the goalkeeping on that specific goal or not?
No. It's
Okay,
not and this is not me defending Joao Garcia, even though
I agree.
I'm one of
Agree.
his.
He was brilliant. He was
Even
brilliant. I think he was
yes,
brilliant yesterday.
yeah. Even despite the scoreline, he was brilliant. Because again, it probably could have been more if we didn't have him and his commanding presence. But what happened is this: kudos to Estevao. He had a good interpretation of space. Now he knows that at that time, Barca has not replaced that formation with the proper centre back. So what was happening was that Barca had a couple of players who were making shift, i.e. Eric Garcia to covering the hole that Arroyo's void had created. So
Eric Garcia, who's a centre back as well. So
yes, so but he was positioned to play as a
okay, yeah, okay,
midfielder
yeah.
in this particular game. So Estevao understood the interpretation of that space created. So Estevao
Okay,
knew I isolate this defender, right? And before the next one gets to cover him, I would be able to make that drop off shoulder and make that goal. That
yeah,
was a brilliant goal.
yeah.
But as much as, including myself, I'm singing his praise because it would be very hypocritical not to do that. But Estevao, before and after that goal, didn't do too much in the game. Let's be honest. Before and after that goal, he didn't do too much in the game, right? But it's
no,
football.
no, no.
Football is a game of moments. I wouldn't take that away from him. He took
He was
his
playing well.
chance. He
No,
had a
yeah,
he had a brilliant goal. But like if you watch a Cucurella, if you watch which I think was very deserving man of the match, if you watch Cucurella, if you watch, even in my opinion, Pedro Neto, right? They may have not had the goal or assist or any of those things, but they were busy doing the right things all through the game. I felt for a good part of the game, Esteval, he didn't get better of Balde at all. He didn't. Even
except for
for
the goal.
that, even for that goal, it wasn't Balde that was like it
Well,
was
Bali
it
was
was more or
in
less.
Bali was in the
Yeah,
mix. Yeah, Bali.
yes, it
But
wasn't the mix, but he could have he could have done better with it. But like at the time when Esteval received the ball, Balde was already in a compromised position. That's where I'm coming from,
okay,
right? So
I think.
but it was a brilliant goal
Uh,
either ways.
yeah, I agree. I think on Esteva's part, I think Esteva for me was fantastic. I think I understand what you're saying. Okay, Balde for me, Balde also had a good game. It was a good matchup. But there were several times when the ball gets to him, the way he interpreted space or whether to go out wide or come through the middle, find his teammates, either hitting a crossfield pass to the other side of the pitch or playing his teammates through. Because several times he tried to play Neto through a few times. But Neto was caught offside on several times. But I think he had a good game. But again, Estevao, another shining moment in his blossoming career. I think this is a guy that's whenever he steps on the pitch, you know something's going to happen. There's this excitement whenever he steps on that pitch, and I think I was happy to see him start, and I expected a big performance from him, which I feel I got. And it's just like he has magic at his feet. He can make anything happen. He can be decisive. He can win you a game, and that second goal was a brilliant. Again, I don't put anything. I don't have any problem with the goalkeeping because again, that's just a fantastic finish. And it's also interesting to point out that it's called a goal quite similar against Chelsea in the Club World Cup, where he beats the goalkeeper at the near post with a wonderful shot. And from then on to just all Chelsea. Then small chances came, and then the lab got the third goal, which again, like at this point, it's just because I think the way Barca treat defending like when you have a to do list, and
Mm-hmm.
like okay, I'm going to get to that to do list, and we just keep procrastinating, okay, procrastinating. Then there's a deadline, and you get punished. That's how Barcelona treat defending. They treat it like it's not something they should do. They should do it, but we shouldn't really do it. And because I feel some of the goals, Barca, and this is not just based on last night's performance. It's something that at this level you can't defend like that. And with football, that's sort of basic fundamentals. If you're pressing high, the defensive line has to be high as well because you need to compact the pitch. And if you're trying to play a high line, there needs to be pressure on the ball on the other side because all the player just has to do is pick his head up, find the right pass, and sometimes you catch the opposition offside as well. But the margins you're playing on, like at this level, Champions League games, knockout games, those margins are they're this slim. Because again, this is Enzo Fernandez was onside by this big. Like
Was it
it's
Enzo
just
Fernandez? No, it
no,
was
it
it
was
Enzo
no, no,
Fernandez?
it's
No,
Enzo
Enzo.
Fernandez. Enzo
No,
Fernandez. Yeah.
Enzo was the one who passed the ball
Yeah,
to.
yeah, that was no. So obviously, because Barca were high, the pass. Enzo was one that was onside. Because the minute Enzo is onside, Delap who's already offside, automatically becomes onside because it's the ball. He's already behind the ball. So Enzo was the
So no, so I thought Enzo released the winger, then passed to to the lap. No.
no, it was the other, I think it was the other way around. I think Neto released Enzo Fernandez who laid it on
Okay.
the plate for Delap to finish. And which
Okay.
again I think Delap good for him. First official Chelsea goal. It meant like it showed it meant a lot to him, especially coming up against a team like Barcelona Champions League. That was big for him. And overall, but I just want to talk about a few top performance from Chelsea because I felt every Chelsea player yesterday played around a 8 plus every Chelsea player. But I want to give a big shout out to Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea coach, the much maligned Chelsea manager. I know there are a lot of people out there who still have the doubts around him about him leading Chelsea forward. But a game like yesterday is why I back this manager to the end because there have been several times in the last year or so where we've had big games in different competitions. And I always go into those big games with confidence that my manager, Enzo Maresca, will set the team up in the best way possible. And I have full faith in him to always find a way to find a solution to stop the opposition and also create problems that might not be obvious to the opposition team. And I think like the Neto situation, I don't think Barcelona expected Neto to start through the middle. And I think that caused them a lot of problems. I also want to give Enzo Fernandez, Enzo Maresca his props. And some other standout players again. I think Estevao, amazing. Garnacho was good. I think he did a lot of good work defensively. But I think Caicedo was amazing as well. I think Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, I see them as a pair who, these are two players that came to Chelsea for big money, £100 million to about £200 million between them. And for me, I felt they needed the big stage to show how good they were. And with the Club World Cup and the Champions League this season, like we see what they are now. We see the level at which they can play and what they can do. But I think the standout player was Marco Cucurella because I think that was the tie. Those two, Yamin Lamal and that Cucurella duo, that was probably where the game was going to be won. And I think Cucurella got the better of him the whole game. Well, there was a few times, but I think he really, really stifled Yamal and did a good job on him. And I
And
think
I
yeah, this
I agree to everything
Yeah,
you've
go. Yeah,
said.
go.
I agree with everything you've said. I think there is no Chelsea player, even ranging from Chaluba, there's no Chelsea player that you look on that pitch yesterday that didn't play with their hearts on their sleeve, that didn't do the
Yeah,
right thing. They were winning
and the
all the
subs, and the
50-50.
subs.
Yes, they were winning all the 50-50 challenges. They were sometimes I think a bit too harsh with their tackles, but in a game of that caliber, you expect such intensity. I want to see my players with such intensity. You can pick up yellow card here and there, like the one Gusto pick, but you need that intensity. You need to let the opposition know
Yeah.
that you're right breathing on their necks and all of that. But it's not all doomed for Barcelona, if I must say. Like there were some players that would walk out of that pitch with their head held high, i.e. Balde.
I,
But
I can only think of two players leaving that pitch with their held eye. Only two, Balde and Garcia.
but
I think everyone else on that pitch played below that level,
yeah,
or we found out on the night.
well, I think Baldi, Garcia can live with their head held high.
Balde, yeah,
I think Rafinha should also Barca fans should look up to Rafinha's return from injury as because if you watch
yeah,
when he came on the pitch, he was even with the man down, he was covering
yeah.
ground, he
He
was he
had
was bringing that
intensity. It
intensity.
was more.
There was intensity.
Yeah,
Barca were starting to win the ball a bit more up the pitch. Obviously, the gap for an extra player was obvious because, like, even when you win the ball, you now need time
yeah.
to breathe and find the right passes. So there are, it's not all like if I were Hans Flick and as a cooler, I wouldn't leave that game feeling like our season is done. I wouldn't leave that game feeling like um I feel like it's
No, of
good to
course,
be.
no, of course not, of course not. No, no,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course
I
not.
feel like
It's
it's good to be found out this early in the season. It's good to see
yeah.
these weaknesses open this early in the season. I hope Barcelona financial situation takes a little bit of a twist before January. I feel like Barca need to do at least the signing in January to consolidate some of the gaps in this team. I think Barca needs to find a way to make a deal to give Hansi Flick a defender of his own choice, right? Not a situation around just because it's hard for me to look at Hansi Flick football and totally criticize what he's doing because in reality he hasn't brought his players. In
Can't you?
reality, he
No,
hasn't.
no. Again, yeah, and
in,
which
in, in, in in reality, he hasn't brought
appreciate.
this. He hasn't brought his players, and then there's
Okay,
there's some there's some interesting statistics I like to pull up with respect to Hansi Flick and this game, right? Yeah, it's true
yeah.
you could have moved the high line a bit further to your goal, right? But when you think about it, Hansi Flick's Barcelona has scored over 200 goals, but guess what? They had conceded almost 100 goals. I think they've conceded about 90 something goals, and at that point,
And
if
and
you keep
and and okay. So the question I then asked, because again, he said he's doing all the best he can. But again, like that's the proof. The proof is right there. The way Barca play, again, I understand how they played, but the the amateurish way they defend and the amateurish way they give away, not just even defending, the way they give away, the way they give away big chances to opposition. I think that's the biggest worry in that Barca team. It could be a personal situation because again, I think obviously Barca are
like
missing that. I think that star defender from last season.
like I said again, for example, if you look at the first 5 minutes of that game, if you look at the chance that Ferran Torres threw away, right? Tell me who was beaming down alongside Yamal to cover up a pass from I think it was Chaluba to Caicedo or somebody. It was Frankie De Jong.
It was James,
Frankie.
Rich James Caicedo.
Yes, so it was Frankie de Jong and Yamal pressing literally close to Chelsea's box team, right? And hence
Yeah,
with one recovery and the pass, Ferran Torres was through on goal. Now, what am I saying? Without the high line, without the high press, without shrinking the pitch, right? You won't be able to have those quick
yeah.
turnovers and you'll be able to create as much like literally Barca is a
Which
chance
yeah,
creating machine,
but
right?
that's true.
But
Yeah, I know.
consequentially, when you push
No,
up that high, right, at the end of the day, each team has the same amount of players, 11 players. When you push up that high to
yeah,
get numeric advantage, right? To get numeric advantage then something has to give. Like if you ask me as a supporter of football generally, and even as a Barcelona fan, I would rather have you create um more chances in the game than be more stuck up in conceding less chances. Although to win championships, to win trophies, you need to have a balance, like what Chelsea did yesterday. They need to have the balance. But I feel the
Yeah.
biggest problem with this the biggest problem with Hansi Flick's style of football is that you need to get players who are willing to not just press, who are willing to not just
Okay.
apply pressure, but who understand that positional awareness as to when to do it, when to drop back, when to. Because if you check all the goals considered by Barcelona yesterday, it was different players who made different
But
mistakes.
but I know, I know, but again, it's not just yesterday. And again, if I'm talking about Barca and Flick, I'm not talking about just yesterday. I'm talking about the sample size that's been over 18 months now.
Yeah.
Like the goals, like for example, the last match, the goals Barca considered against Club Brugge. Club Brugge are quite a decent Champions League team, but they shouldn't be putting 3 goals past Barcelona.
No, I
and
I
and you end up in that situation where so you end up situations where you go away from home in Champions League, you score 3 goals, which most times you can score 3 goals away from home. You likely leave with 3 points, but you give away 3 goals that are quite. I think the goals they considered that day were bad goals to concede. So again, I don't see that as a situation where you bring in ex defender put into that team, it gets better. I feel because like you said, the team has to push off the pitch to press high. Yes, that's true. But when you don't have the ball, you go in stages. If you're pressing high and they play through your press, the whole team needs to drop back. You can't just still maintain the high line when you've been played through, because what happens is there's already spaces there, and when you leave, because I feel these days they're more talented attacking players than defensive players, and the quality of attacking players and variety of attacking players across every league in the Champions League domestically, that you get found out, and it's just like I think it's just a matter of fact. But also at the same time, like to point out Barcelona's scoring prowess in the last year or two. Barcelona has scored in 54 straight games, all competitions, starting from December last year until yesterday against Chelsea. They had also scored in 24 straight Champions League games up until yesterday. So again, they always score goals. Like they score goals, but I didn't. But just scoring goals doesn't win you things. Like we all know that's it. Like defense wins you championships.
Yeah,
And I feel
I agree, but football is pivoting to the point where even Champions League rules have changed, right? Where it favors you to score more to even actually do I know that's a different discussion, but
no,
but defending as an act is equally important as attacking, and I'm not disputing that. But if you ask me to
yeah.
to watch a football game that ends 0-0 or watch a football game that ends 3-3,
So
I would watch that 3-3.
no, yeah, yeah, but I feel unfortunately a football game that ends 3-3 sometimes can end 4-3. Like we saw, like again, I always go back to it. Like we saw in that Champions League semi-final against Inter Milan, I, particularly the first leg. I don't think Barca didn't get outplayed. Barca just, particularly in the first leg, they just ran out of time in the first leg. They could have scored more. Barca could have easily scored 3-5. Sorry, 4-5-6 in that first leg, but
Mhm.
they ran out of time and the game ended 3-all. Second leg, the same thing. You like again, it's like if you like, it's not normal to concede three. Like again, it's not normal to be conceding goals in threes. I can count on 2 hands the amount of time Barca have conceded 3 or more goals in the last 18
Yeah,
months.
yeah, I can even
And
include
I
my
think
feet.
about five of them in the champ.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can include
exactly. No,
I can even include my feet
but
and still tell you that there's still a lot of that. And I'll tell you
so again, like again,
as long as it's Hansi Flick at the head of affairs for Barcelona, right? I'll be surprised if something changes with respect to um, playing high line. I've
high
seen him.
plays.
I've seen him be clever with it. Like for example, the
Should
games
he?
against
Okay,
Bilbao. Like for example, the game against Bilbao. Because again, all of these things matter. If Barcelona score an early goal, right? If Barcelona score an early goal, you see that there are better times, that there are ways that which they would manage that game. For example, if Ferran Torres had scored early, right, Barcelona would knock the ball around a little bit, find more pocket of spaces, and still do some damage, right? And then I've also seen Hansi Flick where, like for example, think about the Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid, the one that Koundé scored the winning goal. Yeah, it was the Copa del Rey final, I believe. Uh, we only won that tournament because
Yeah.
we were still playing high line with 2-2 and in a in a win it all
No, 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 no.
situation.
Wait. Okay, okay.
That was why,
No,
because
because
there was press on Modric, there was a high turnover up the pitch. Koundé was a centre back in that game. It was like he was pulled to play centre back at some point due to substitution in that game, and he was shooting from the edge of the
yeah.
box.
Okay, okay. See, okay, but I also think it's important to establish that when you talk about when you talk about highline, yes, that's true. But you press with the highline, and it's also that there's also Barcelona. I've never seen a club at top level that defend with Barca defend with that highline. Have you?
Yeah, it's appalling. Like, just for our viewers and just for everybody listening, I want to be very clear. I am not pleased with how Barcelona, excuse me, I am not pleased with how Barcelona concede goals. I am not pleased with the fact that small teams would come and not necessarily play well to get goals. Like, you don't need to be clever to score against Barcelona. You just need to have a good runner up. You just need to have the
Exactly. Yeah.
second guy running behind the pitch, and you just need to have an average defender, an average striker that can bury the chance. That's all you need to score goals against Barcelona. But the thing that was missing yesterday was that
Yeah.
intensity. Was that intensity to reduce and it's not a coincidence that I don't think I remember, like you rightly mentioned, I don't think I remember easily the last time I watched Barcelona not score. And that is why even when Barcelona is a goal down, which I was very upset with a bit Arroyo for collecting that, for making it a lot more easier for the opposition. Even with a goal down, the opponents also know that, okay, you know what, this game is far from finished. Barcelona, like you go into a game playing against Barcelona knowing that, okay, first of all, I have one goal minus. Like the turnover of whatever the game is like I'm starting this game with a goal deficit. Do you get where I'm coming from? So and this is because of the
Yeah.
consistency of that attacking machine
Okay.
and all of that.
Okay. I think. Well, I think this particular conversation we'll revisit it some other day. But just before we go, I just want to talk. I just want to ask you about Lamine Yamal. And this is I think this is Barcelona's third big game this season. The after the Paris Saint-Germain game, the El Clasico and Chelsea yesterday. And in those three games, Yamin started those three games, and I don't think he had a very good performance. Are you worried, Kingsley?
Yes, I am worried. I am worried not because of what Yami does on the
Well,
pitch. I am
see,
I,
I think we've lost him, so I definitely think he's probably worried.
yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
I'll give him a few minutes to come back. If he doesn't, then I think I'll end it right there. Well, yeah, but I think that has been our match, our review of the Chelsea Barcelona game. And as always, thank you for joining us. And if you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe. Send videos to your friends. Send our YouTube page to your friends to get them involved. Leave comments below, questions on all. We'll be happy to answer them whenever we get them. So thank you.